Now, there are some arguments and views about the stabilization, whether we have really stabilized or are we still in the recovery process, or sometimes some claims about who recovered, so likewise so many things. So whoever who has contributed for this is commented, but at the same time, I think we may find answers about the stabilization if you ask a very simple question. Why we happen to talk about stabilization? What went wrong? Answers are there. So, however it is, as a nation, we must be happy that in a way it has been stabilized in many means. I hope everyone feels that maybe with the general sentiments, that country is just taking a different move and a different shape with a great hope. If you genuinely look at what's happening in the country, we may not have done the things, everything perfect. We may not have achieved what we have expected, but however it is, everyone feels that country is moving steadily, though it is with a slow pace. So this is not enough. The next takeoff is nothing but the investment. That is very correctly highlighted by Professor Disa Bandar, Chairman. Without investments, we can't expect a growth. Again, debates are there about the growth. What kind of growth? Of course, it should be sustainable. And again, sometimes we may have to have kind of exponential growth within a short period of time, within an explicit time period, since we have lost a decade already. But we need to have this particular growth with investment, quality investments. How the investment is formed. For the investment, this capital formation really matters. The stock market is a platform for that. Everyone in this society, as individual, have a different, to some extent, different amounts of savings, money, and finance. To great extent, except large institutional investors and large investors, to great extent, the capital and the savings of this particular country is scattered. Scattered, insignificant, trivial capital cannot make big changes, cannot make a big push for the economic development. We need to pool them together. That is where this formation is important. I think this is the right place now, right things are happening. And again, there are myths about investments. There are myths about the capital. I think one of the myths, or maybe the demarcation between public and private. At the end, if you take the country, all individuals, people living in this country, we are private. In a way, within that caption, we can say that individual lives. Then what is public? In the society, public is belittled to actions taken by the government. That is only a channel of how we deal with certain finance and certain activities together. But in a way, it belongs to people. When it comes to a capital market, mainly it deals with public. No matter how it is channeled through institutions, through government, or big companies. So that is why I hope, the listed companies, what we call public listed companies. The money belongs to the individuals, but it is public. Why? The capital formation, or bringing more capital, or converting savings into investment is a common cause, public duty. That is why we have to facilitate it from different perspectives. As a government, we need to very correctly understand and identify the need of capital formation and promoting investments. So whereas we are facilitating it, all the other agencies and investors, everyone has their own duty and stake towards a common objective. So that is the way forward, I suppose. Because to great extent, we operate within our own identities. As an investor, as a regulator, or likewise you may name. To great extent, we happen to operate within our own silos to maximize our own utility, own benefits, simply disregarding the rest. Of course, to some extent we can move, but there are limitations, remember. If we want to break this cycle and to drive a nation for the prosperity, of course, we need to discharge your individual responsibilities, task for the common purpose, that is the common prosperity. Then the value generation would be exponential. We have this opportunity and we have that particular potential. So we will work for that. And again, when it comes to this capital formation, the need and investment, the areas like capital market and investments, even under these 12 pillars, there are many instruments and devices that Professor highlighted are alienated to a large majority of Sri Lankan. So they are far-reaching. They are afraid. We need to bring this message to the grassroots level. In those small little amounts, isolating there in the grassroots level, may not think of this capital market. They might think, oh, capital market is something big, only big people can invest. We are not supposed to go there. So that was the past. In a way, sometimes they are afraid. Sometimes those capital markets were labeled as the gambling places as well. It is like a double-edged sword sometimes, how it operates. But I think if we really, really want to have a robust capital formation aimed with exponential growth and investment, of course, we need to bring them together and to the capital market and close the gaps. Then only the saving would be effectively in investments. In the world, the many countries are struggling to bridge the gap between savings and investments. I think this is one good area. So with good understanding of these things, we better bring the scattered capital towards this particular platform. The capital market allows then to bring the capital, form the capital, do the businesses, generate value, at the same time in a very efficient market, so we have open exit. So that is also a kind of flexibility and freedom for investors. So market efficiency, again, really matters to a great extent. About the market efficiency, lots of theories, discussions are going on. I am not going to discuss about this thing. But in general, so the layman's, the mind, in an efficient market, all the relevant information pertaining to assets must be publicly available. Publicly available. Now with the help of technology, I think it is not a big deal. Now we can slowly move towards a symmetric information sharing with reference to publicly available information. Maybe the inside information and other things so connected with the company's operation, tacit knowledge would be there, but no one would be able to play with the hidden information or the private information. If you can reach that level, of course, market would be highly efficient. Then the people will have to assess, analyze investment from really the growth perspectives based on fundamentals. Then the asset price really reflects the value. The money comes and invested in the value generation. So I think that is the way we need to think of in promoting a capital market to share this information. Then only it would be a really democratic capital market. We have this particular potential, and the technology and the strategies, analysis, and all those things, as far as the knowledge is concerned, they are not now the rocket sciences we can access. It matters whether we are ready to work with a common objective. That's all. So even if we take the regulator, Securities Exchange Commission, so how do we perceive a regulator? Not only SEC, but other regulators, it's like a demon. So someone who is coming to just trouble us. So how do you look at an auditor? So sometimes in the past or in a context where you are labeled like this, where you are perceived like this, your role also is like that. You also tend to do these things. This is what is explained in the, Oedipus complex. If the situation is like that, if everyone thinks in that way, you tend to do the same thing. So as a result, everyone would be skewed back to your own identity, simply disregarding the common reasons. I think in the capital market formation and the development, I don't recognize SEC as a regulator to just monitor and or become a policeman, but rather a facilitator. So with the same perspective, the government, I want you to look at government is, our government especially, as a facilitator. Our government is not above you. Politicians are not above you. Unfortunately, we had a culture like that. Politicians were above everything, above the law. This hierarchy was maintained. Therefore, perceived different social capital was created and embedded in politicians. Then people believe that politicians are the creators, the gods, they could do everything. The politicians have a role. We do our job. It doesn't mean that we do everything. It doesn't mean that we know everything. We know very little. But we have a very noble objective and will to transform this particular society. Our duty is not different from yours, but it is in a way unique. That is the difference. So therefore, look at our government from that particular perspective. We are only another stakeholder of fulfilling our given mandate. That is the agent of the people to do the things within our purview. You do your jobs, so you have that particular freedom for sure. Our government would not politicize any of the things in this particular society. Everyone worked towards transforming this particular society to a place where everyone can live in peace and harmony. With respect to investments, we facilitate to create a conducive environment, level playing field. So I thank especially the SEC and those who really contributed for this particular purpose, just coming out with 12 pillars strategy with one vision. Yes, of course, with that one vision, everyone will contribute to these things. So then we will have a resilient market. So that market, of course, I strongly believe that you would do a great deal of job in forming capital that is essentially needed for investments to and change the main problem that the mankind is facing in this country. Then we would be able to celebrate our contribution and that we did our role where everyone is sharing the prosperity of this particular country. Thank you so much.